going into our last question for today's episode is from a listener named Julia, and she asks, ooh, I love this question. She asks, what is one thing you wish you could change about healthcare?
Wow.
But she says only one.
But only one
so
thing.
You have to choose just one thing.
Wow. So I'm going to answer it. I also want you to think on from a consumer standpoint or a patient standpoint, what's the one thing that you would change about it? Let me see if I can give this one answer of the one thing that I could change.
I have an answer if you want to think.
I think I'll start,
okay,
and then we'll see where it goes.
All right.
I think the one thing that I would change is how providers are paid. And the reason I was struggling to say that is because I don't think it's the root of the problem, but I think it's a big driver of it. And if we can change the driver, we have a better potential to get to the root. And I think that's like our mission with Hope Not Nope is to go to the people, because to change the system, there's so many rules that are in place just to have rules. There's so many politics. There's so many things that you need to do to change a system. But if we as consumers, we the people, are asking for change and demanding change, that's what's going to spark this thing to take off. So the reason I would change the way that providers are paid is because that dictates how they're going to treat. Not everybody, but as a whole. When we look at healthcare as a whole, that's the biggest thing, is that providers and companies, they're paid for risky procedures, they're paid for imaging, and then they get some kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies depending on what they prescribe. That's what's driving these things. If you want to see what's happening, follow the paper trail. Big pharma runs this country. Like, follow that, it'll show you the path. But if we could change where the payment system to providers and to companies was based on outcomes and the quality of the treatment, I think that would get us back to a healthcare system in which our option is to truly care for one another. So again, I don't think it's the root, but I think by using this to change the driver, it would then allow us to get to the root, because I think then providers would start reflecting on, why was I doing so many MRIs? Why was I offering this surgery before offering them lifestyle changes or behavioral patterns? And again, this was how you change the healthcare system, not the people interacting with the healthcare system. So to change the system, I hate to say it, but it's changing the paper trail.
Wow. That's great. Coming from more of like a provider standpoint, it's fair. I think that's a fair thing.
Yeah, because I do think, again, that there's so many great providers out there that get into this with the right heart, that they want to serve people, they want to be there for people, and they go, great, but to do that, you have to keep the lights on. And then they're almost brainwashed that the only way to do it is through this way. And then to work outside of the system, there's so many obstacles. There's so many obstacles that we've had to face to see the people that we see. And so it can be done, but you have to be so different to do it. It makes it so hard for the providers to do it. So instead, they kind of lock into the fear of, well, we got to keep the lights on. I got to provide. I got to pay off all this debt. I need to get a house. I need to do all these things that you just kind of get into the day-to-day to provide. And you forget that, like, oh man, did I truly serve that person today, or did I serve the system? And oftentimes when we serve the system, we're not serving the people.
Wow. Yeah. I think of my first response came back to care too. Like, as someone going into a doctor's office or maybe even an ER or whatever, like I want to feel cared for. And I will say that out of every experience I've had, there's been 2. I'll say 5 just to be generous, but I think 5 is very generous and probably not true. I would say 2 or 3 people who I have walked in and immediately felt cared for. And so my brain goes to like, okay, how can we have better interpersonal communication in like classes, right? Like they should have interpersonal classes that they have to go to. They should have hospitality classes that providers, people working in these offices, that they need to be part of. Um, I'm not in this world, right? So I know there's continuing ed courses that people have to take, but like, are those ever intentional about like hospitality or care or anything like that? So that's what my mind went to immediately. And then the other thing would be like making these people go on retreat once a year where
Yeah.
they're being pulled away from the system. They're being pulled away from the money and all this stuff. And their retreat is not a continuing ed course. The retreat is not hey, this is a new surgery that's coming out, or hey, this is a new medicine, or hey, this is a new, technique or whatever. It's a retreat to pull back and get grounded in your life mission, your vision, who you are as a person, who you desire to be, and how you want to impact people. I think if companies within the healthcare system, but really just the world in general, did that, could you imagine the world we would live in if
Yeah.
people were intentional like that? Like
Right.
that would be my vote. That would be my vote.
Yeah. No, and you're so right. I not as of recent, but a few years ago, I used to go to orthopedic grand rounds with the surgeons to see what's new, what's coming out, what's being debated. I won't go too much into detail, but what they're debating in these conferences
Hmm.
absolutely blows my mind, and not in a great way, not in
Right.
a placebo way, more in a nocebo
You're like,
way.
what the heck?
Because I'm like, we may have a debate of a barbell versus a dumbbell, or a front squat versus a back squat, and how it's working, a pull up versus a chin up.
Hmm.
Like, we may have those debates. These surgeons are debating on if a screw should be put back into the clavicle or if it should be left alone. And then the debate's on the screw. And I'm like, well, what's best for that person?
Yeah. What about the
What
human?
about the human? Like, no one's talking about this. And then it's the newer generational surgeons arguing the old generational surgeons, and they're arguing about the procedure, which, again, like, incredible amount of respect for surgeons, the time that they
Oh
put
my
into it.
gosh,
We need
yes.
them in this world. They are a gift, and what they do is absolutely incredible. And these surgeries, they do need to be debated. Another example I can give here to help demonstrate this point a little further is a surgeon I know did a meniscal surgery, and the guy was back playing golf within 2 weeks.
Mm.
So the surgeon commented on, oh, look, my surgery was so great that this person's back playing golf in 2 weeks. Like, well, pause and
Mm.
ask yourself, did this person need the surgery to begin with if they're back playing golf within 2 weeks? Or did they needed to have a person that cared for them,
Hmm.
that they trusted, that gave them this thing, that created this? Because there's a good amount of data on placebo meniscal surgeries now.
Yeah.
And I would argue this guy didn't need the surgery to begin with.
Yeah.
And if not just surgeons, but just as an example that came up, because this is in every domain of health and wellness,
Yeah.
but if we had those courses of, hey, how do we treat the person as a human being? Because what does health mean? Health means to make whole. And,
Hmm.
and then care is obviously caring to make the person become whole. Like, that is our role, that is our mission as healthcare providers, is providing the solutions to make this person become whole, not splitting them up into parts and putting new parts in and only worrying about the part. We need to get back to the whole. But I
Hmm.
think to get to the whole, we have to change the driver of what's fueling this entire thing.
Yeah. Mm. We hope for change.
Hope for
We
change.
hope for change, and that's why we do what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
We desire that people can grow. We desire, like, I don't know, our mission, empowering hope to those plagued by nope. It's not, it is a lot for people like me who are coming into the providers, right? But like, providers are being fed nope too.
Oh, so much
Like,
nope.
so much nope. And so we want to empower them with hope too. And so, Julia, I thank you for this question, because we do wish that the healthcare system will change, and we hope that we are able to be a catalyst for that, and both the receiving end and the people who are providing.
Yeah. Yeah. And an example on the other side of this, there's a shoulder surgeon who stated that when a person comes in, and right, so there's data showing that you may not need that partial rotator cuff repair. You definitely don't need a decompression surgery, whether the labral needs to be repaired or not, what type of tear is it. But anyway, he goes, you know what? No, I'm not going to do an image. I'm not going to offer a surgery. I'm going to have you go do physical therapy, have you go do rehab, go do that for 2 months. They come back. He goes, they come back in 2 months. And I go, yeah, let's give it another 2 months. He goes, and by the time we get to about half a year, definitely at a year, the person has the results that they would have if they had the surgery. In
Mm.
most cases, granted that it's like more of the things I mentioned before, not like a full rotator cuff
Sure.
repair, like along those lines. But yeah, when it's those types of things, and he finds out by the time that they get back, they're happy and never needed the surgery.
Mhm.
Wow,
That's awesome.
what an outlier to go. I'm not going to do an image that will bring us back $5,000-$10,000. I'm not going to offer this surgery that I could do and that I'm very skilled in doing.
Mhm.
But instead, I'm going to do this thing because this is what the research is showing us to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is a provider that is out there truly caring for
Mhm.
it. It takes incredible courage. I don't know what blowback he's getting
Mhm.
from the system that he works within
Right.
for doing that, but here is an individual that is out there truly caring for people by giving them the best available options
Mhm.
and then being there for them if a surgery is needed and being incredibly skilled in what he does if that time does come, but making sure that people are being led to what the research is saying. He's leading them towards hope.
Yeah.
He's not giving them the nope up front
Yes.
and then trying to throw off the piles to get to hope. He's giving them hope up front.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. But it takes a special person to
Yeah.
do that.